Okay, you're being recorded, so careful what you say. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to right mouse click on subprojects and create another new subproject, which we're going to call phase 2. Okay. And whilst we're here, I'm going to right mouse click and make another one called phase 3. So that's our 2 branch lines. Oh, sorry, I'll name it phase 2 again. So still a bit of background noise. Are you on hands free now or something?
No.
No?
I've got the headphones plugged into the phone, and then the phone near me, so you can hear me talk to it.
Okay, so that's good. Okay. So I got. So you see, the fact we're making this subproject ID is important for the later data import.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is on the right-hand side of this cell. So I've clicked on the main cell. You've got this heavy blue shadow around it. I'm going to go to the cell menu, and I'm going to insert a new column. Okay. And we'll worry about the physical size of that in a minute. But if I click here, then I've selected that cell. If you see from the cell settings tab, there's nothing much on it. So first of all, we need to say that this is a time distance cell.
Yeah.
And what subproject are we going to include in it? So I click on that little icon, and then I say we'll only put data from phase 2 in this subproject. Okay. And I don't want to change the cell range because you're going to tell me what the change is now. So if I go back to your spreadsheet, which hasn't appeared. Why is that, Jim?
Oh, it's on my other screen.
Ah, okay. Well, you just read them out. Read them out. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you go back to the TILOS, I can read them
out. I can see your other. Okay, yeah. So what's the end distance of it?
Well, Haring Park Junction is on the main line. It's 4 miles 264 yards. So Haringey Junction, which spurs off, will be 0. It starts and then goes into Haring.
So it starts at 0 and it goes to 4 miles 264 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's got its own distance range now. And but what we're going to do is we're going to take the time range from the first cell on the left-hand side. So the time master cell is where it picks up its date range from. Okay. So we can't see anything at the moment. And so in this cell now, I'm going to the grids tab, and I'm getting very noisy background again.
Okay.
And I'm changing the display of the grids so you can see what we can see. Okay.
Yeah.
So I notice on the main cell that so we've got the same grids and we can have the same rulers. If I look at this cell here on the left-hand side, okay, so this has got the ruler called top distance ruler.
Okay.
So in this cell here, I click on this cell, which is currently empty, and I create a new. I make it a distance cell, and I say that it's going to pick its distance range up
from the other one.
From the other one. So, but first of all, I've got to say we're going to put the. I can't stop that happening. Actually, people are sending me emails, and in fact, I turn my emails off.
I can't see that. Whatever happened.
No, did you not hear it? There was a loud noise in my ear. Okay.
No, I didn't.
So so we've made that cell a distance cell. We're including the same library item in that cell, and but we've got to say where does it get its distance range from the one below. Okay. Now I suggest that we show these every mile because it's almost like 5 miles is too big. But whilst we're down here as well, we're going to take this cell. And we're going to also say that's a distance cell. and that's going to contain the bottom ruler, and it's going to get its distance values from the cell above. So whilst we're here on talking about these rulers, let's see what it looks like if we say it's every mile rather than every 5 miles, because it's such a short not every 51 miles, every 1 mile. So at the moment, this one on the left hand side is at a different, so I'm going to pick up that tooth and just move it in a little bit, okay? And I'm going to make a note of what this says here. So that's the horizontal scale. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put it in the same place as here. Okay, we must have got that in a different 785 yards. So if I also make this 785 yards, it makes the panel on the right hand side the same scale as the one on the left hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're going to do another one in a minute. So I noticed we've got the stations here, but in the, did you make a distance profile of where the stations are? So we haven't got any stations for phase 1 in this list, which is going to give us the drop line on screen. So I need to, can you take the mouse and bring your spreadsheet of the station values onto onto screen 1? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I don't want it to, I'm taking this control back, I don't want it to fill the screen. I just want it about like that. That's good. So we're going to take this section here, and we're going to copy that to the clipboard. Okay. So we've got the symbol, we've got this a reference to the station in column A, the name of it in B, and I suggest, because it's too much text,
The junction is JN.
JN, yeah. I think we've done that everywhere else. And we'll reapply the map in a minute as well, which will sort that name out. Yeah. It's all about how long the piece of text is to fit on screen in a way, you know. Okay. So I've copied that to the screen. I'm going to go to my stations profile, and I'm going to import. Because it's the first time you've done it, he said we've got to say that we've got the type, which is a station or what in column 1. We've got the name in column 2, but we've got the distance value in column 3. Okay, and then we're going to click on import. So there, I'll delete that first one. So we've got Gospel Oak to Barking. Gospel Oak to Barking, perfect. So what that will do is that will draw grid lines down down the screen. Go on.
Yeah, where did you right click there for that? Bring that up.
I went to distance profiles, double clicked on that, imported it, and said OK. And so we've got grey lines on the screen for each station, and that's part of the grid of this. So we look at that second line, that's picking up the values from this distance profile. And it's showing we're only seeing the values in that table, and we're using the color of what's called a sector type, and I'll show you where that is in a minute. and that's why they're grey. The trouble is, we've also got them on the right-hand side because it's using the same grid as on the left-hand side. Okay, so we need to do two things. One is we need to make another profile that is
Again,
stations phase 2. Okay, and whilst we're here, we might well go back. I keep doing Alt Tab, but that's my computer, not yours. So we're going to go to this one here. So it should have remembered the settings that we did last time, which it hasn't. So because that was in 3 and the name is in 1, we do want to import that, and that. Do you understand what I'm doing here, Jim?
yeah, you're just choosing the 3 that we're currently copying.
Yeah, and we're saying which column it's in.
Yeah.
Oh, so
when we
do the map. It's exactly the same principle, but we're now building a list of. Okay, so I've got it wrong because it's got the name. So it's got the name and the distance. So it's put it in the same thing. So what did I do wrong? So we've got the name in column 2.
Oh yeah, that's it.
That's what I did wrong. And we got the type one. Yeah. So it's got Haringey Junction, Haringey Park. Okay. So we've got that information, but what we also need is we need to change the grid in the right-hand cell to only show those values. And that is again a distance element. So you see we've got a thing called distance grids. Okay, so the only one there is the one that's been used in both places. I'm going to double click on it and change the name of this to phase 1. Okay, and then I'm going to copy and paste it, which is just save setting up all the values again. And I'm going to double click on it because we're going to call this phase 2. And so to change it, we're going to change the second row, double click, and we're going to change which profile, which spreadsheet are we going to get the values for stations from to display as grey drop lines. Okay. But now on this cell, we've got to now reference it. So we've changed it in the library, but now we need to use it on this cell. So in this cell only, we've only got grid drop lines, and the reason we can't see those drop lines is because we need to make a tiny bit of space on each side so we can see a line. See what I mean? Maybe that's not enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do the same thing to the map. So in the it's something to do with the distance cell. So this says map. If I double click on that and call it map phase 1.
Yep, and then copy it and paste it.
We can do that, but in doing that, we will also copy and paste all of everything in it. So, which we will do, but we need to delete that.
Then
so
then we bring in
the new one. That's right. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to double click on it and call it phase 2. But when we get the data from Swindon, there's about 25 of these to do, because they split the job into 25 chunks, and that's how they're going to deliver the data. So, so now this cell here at the moment is what's called a merge cell. It's rather clever, but it's where I've glued 2 cells together. So I've got to go to connect cells and unglue them. So we've got one cell here for this one and a different cell here for this one. So this, I need to say, well, this is also a distance cell, and this distance cell is looking at the content called phase 2, and there's the data, and it's getting its distance range from the cell below. So I'm going to select one thing in here, do Control A and delete. So we've got a place to import the data from the spreadsheet. Yeah. It's confusing because that's my computer. I'm trying to click on there. So now from here, we can take this whole information, which because you had trouble last night. You said that you had trouble importing it, the map, didn't you? But you've obviously solved that. So we're copying all of that to the clipboard. So I'm going to this cell here, right mouse clicking, import symbols from clipboard. And so you've set those up already, Jim. That's very good. So we're just missing the track part of that, okay? So what we also need to make over here is another entry on our spreadsheet, which is okay. So that's what the one above. Okay, yeah, okay. I missed copying that. So I can just copy that single line in itself. Right mouse click and import symbols from clipboard. Okay. So we can't see all of the name there, can we? In fact, it says junction, so we should so we can do a couple of things here. So we could make the cell big. We could make the distance range of the cell below bigger. Can you still hear me, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's. So I've misspelt that. I thought it was a. Now I can see it. That should be a. That should be an N, shouldn't it? So what the two things I could do, because I can't see the whole of the Haringey Junction text, so I could click here, and I could increase the range enough that I could see more distance.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we can do a combination of that. So I think that's not bad, but I need to also pick up this piece of text, and I just need to drag it enough that I can see what it says. So we're just doing a bit of cosmetic improvement. One by slightly changing the how much you see on screen, and one by picking that up and moving that across so we can see it. And we need to also change the text in that so it just says JN. So I haven't quite dragged the text far enough along. Okay. Okay, that's good. So I see that the track is going beyond Haringey Junction, isn't it? So let's look at the spreadsheet again. So the track goes on for 15 miles, which is further than. So really we should say this track.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It only goes on from 0 to 4.
Yeah. So the value there should be that value.
Yeah.
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 And let's just tidy up our spreadsheet so we could use it to re-import from in the future if you need to. Okay. So let's just have a look at the symbols and the names. So once you've imported them out, here we've got lots of stations that are close together. And so we've got to find a way of, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-import this because we've changed all the names so much that it's easier to delete, delete everything and to re-import it. So again, see this doesn't need to be 15 miles. It needs to be the longest. Where is it? Is it 15 miles actually? There's 50 miles of track, is there? Barking.
Well, no, I've just done it a bit either side. You don't have to. You can change it from 15.
Well, obviously Barking must is Barking the end of where we're going to. This is Gospel Oak to Barking, yeah. Jim, talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Barking is the end of the line as far as we're concerned, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to change 15 miles to be the value of Barking Station.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Because then it'll just stop drawing the track at the right place, basically. So I'm going to select that area again. Go back to TILOS. So you've obviously sussed this out yourself, which is very good. And set all these values up correctly. So now we just got to say, well, so obviously I didn't, okay, so we got Junction Road, so we should have, again, we probably, in our Junction Road, are they clapping in the background now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
so we got two options now about this piece of text, and it's purely a cosmetic one. So we could say, well, we could put it above the symbol, and just like a text annotation, this text annotation is connected to this symbol, and we've said where it was connected, center end. So if I say center begin, it will jump to the top, but the top of the box is connected. So if I say I want the bottom of the box to be connected, you can sort of just put it above, really. So that's one technique. So we can put it above that one, and then we've got Upper Holloway, but also we've got one next to it. Oh, that's the, and this one here is Upper Holloway. So I'm going to select Upper Holloway, and I'm going to the text box. I'm going to say don't wrap the text around the name. Let me set the size of the text box. So I can then adjust and basically make it on 2 rows, not just 1 row. And I can set the how that text is positioned. So we can just cosmetically adjust these so they're in the right place. But if you deleted it all and re-imported it, it would destroy that any changes you've made in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, I'm just going to move that down so that it doesn't bump into the text of the one to the left. Or maybe, actually, maybe that would be a better one to say, well, let's put that one at the top. And then here we've got the same sort of problem, haven't we? This is Walthamstow Queen something. And then this one's Leytonstone High Road. So I think we'd choose this one and put that at the top.
Yep.
So then this one's Leytonstone High Road. We put this one at the top.
Yep.
But this is quite unusual that these stations are so close together, actually. You know. And I still think I feel tempted to make this manual size text box because it's such a long name that the shorter it is, it sort of like sits better under the symbol. You've got a sort of better idea where it is, really. Do you agree with that? So again, this is all manual work that would be destroyed if we re-imported the map. That's why we only want to do it once, really, when we're definitely sure of the data. We can change the size of it and the scale of it. That's all fine, you know. Which we might end up changing the scale of it in a minute, actually, when we've done the next thing. So we've done. So you've got to. I'm saving on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I'm going to knock the zoom scale down so that we can see the next thing I'm going to do. So that's not okay. So let's say. So we've got one part of the, and so our file. So this goes too far. It's almost like it doesn't. It goes to 15 miles, rather than Barking, doesn't it? And Barking was at 30 miles 264, which is obviously a bit too.
So you know when you create a new one and you use the
Yeah,
template and it asks you for
yeah,
the mileage at the
yeah.
start?
Start and end. Yeah.
Yeah, can you then change that once you've said?
Of course you can. Yes, because that's what we're
When to
doing
do
now.
that?
We're doing it here in the cell settings. We've clicked on this cell, and here we're saying we don't want it to go to 15 miles. We want it to
No.
go to 30 miles 264. But if I do that, Barking's going to be right on the edge. So we need to give it an extra bit of space, probably another sort of, looks to be with the other ones about another 400 or 500, just to bring Barking sort of like into play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably good. So we've got the main route here, and then we've got one of our little branch lines, and then we want the other branch line. So we select this cell,
Yeah.
and we go to the cell, the columns, and add a new column.
Yeah.
So we've got another empty one over here. So this is where we're going to put the third one of our reference, our sub-project. We're going to have to copy the grid. We're going to have to copy the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll do this one a bit quicker, and so because it's just the same as before. So we've already made a phase 3 sub-project. So I'm going to say that this new cell is a time distance cell. It contains the
Phase 3.
sub-project called phase 3, but it's and it's getting its time range from the one on the very left-hand side. Okay, and we need to set its distance range. So if we go back to our spreadsheet, we're going to, okay, this is the one below, isn't it? We're going to 2 miles 294. But we're going to add about 500 onto each end. So it's about 1400. So we're going from minus 500 yards to 2 miles, I forgot what it was now. 600, was it? No, it's 1400, wasn't it? And I'm going to explain more about what I'm doing with that scaling in a minute, because we're going to make an adjustment at the end, so it's roughly to fit on A3 paper. We can still use the this cell. We can use the same ruler. So with this cell selected, we can say we know it's a distance cell. We know what we want to put in it, which is our top ruler, and it's going to get its distance values from the cell below. In fact, it's good to give these cells a name. So this, the one I've clicked on here, this is phase 3 time distance cell. If I click here, this is phase 2 time distance cell. And these are just labels for your own benefit. And this is phase 1 time distance cell. So when I click on this one, where it gets its time master cell from is phase 1. Yeah? Does that make sense? So just like we've done at the top, we can do at the bottom. So I'm going to scroll down and we're going to select this cell. Yeah. Did you have a question, Jim?
Yeah, no. So if I was going to use, and come across another project where I needed 3, I could just use this template when it's saved and edit the content in map.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Yes, you could do that. And you got to delete the stations, delete the map. Delete what's in the stations profile list, delete what's in the map list, and then just set the distance range, because it'll be a different distance range. Yeah. So we're using the bottom ruler here, and we're again saying that we're picking that up from the cell above. Yeah. So what we got to do now is we want to make another grid. So we're going to copy that and we're going to paste that, which we're going to call phase 3, where we're seeing the interval every 1 mile. Okay, so what that grid references is a table list that station list that doesn't yet exist. So I'm going to copy and paste a distance profile, double click, that we're using here to put the stations of phase 3 in. So I'm going to delete all the lines that exist. I'm going to go back to our spreadsheet. I'm going to say that our track goes to the same length as our last station. I'm going to select that area, copy it, go back here and import it. So we got the distance in 3. So it's remembered our settings from last time.
Yeah, you don't need to copy all of that though, do you?
I only want the stations that are in that section.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's only picked out the columns that it needed from that list.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So now we've got the station list there. I need to go back to my grid line and say pick up the values from a different table. So we'll get, and now we've got to say, well, this cell is using this grid, which I want to see, and we're still going to use the same so what's different about that one? Okay, so we've just got the map to do now. We've got the map and the overall size of it, thinking about A3 as a page size. So I've got the cell up here. I'm going to say I know it's a distance cell. I know that its cell contents are, but I need to make a cell content for it by copying and pasting and calling this phase 3. And then I'm going to say this cell is using the contents of the map cell 3. So there's the data on it, and this cell is also going to get its distance values from the cell below. And I'm going to select one graphic in there, do Control A to select them all, delete to delete it, go back to my spreadsheet, and it's still selected, so I'm just going to copy that area, go back to that cell, right mouse click, import symbols from clipboard. Okay, so I'm going to delete that again, actually, because it's quicker to change the text in the spreadsheet. Junction Road Junction. Confusing. Yep. So let's re-import that now. Okay, so again, we've got some concerns about reading the text completely. So I'm going to zoom in a bit more, which is mainly because the way I've got the resolution of my screen is not as big as yours, so it's easy for me to select it. So I'm going to select it, and I'm just going to
make that.
Well, I was just going to drag it in a little bit from the left there, so you could just sort of see like that, probably, you know.
After we've done this, we need to add one more.
One more station.
No.
One more section.
Nothing. No, nothing to do with this. This one's done now.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, one more project. Yeah. Okay. There's one thing. So let's just keep focused on this one. So there's one more thing that we need to do, and that is think about how big is this piece of paper physically in relation to the piece of paper. So the easiest thing is to reduce the zoom scale, and so we can see the whole thing on screen, and go to your
print area sort of thing.
Exactly. Go to your printer driver and say. And so, did you manage to get a PDF writer installed?
Try.
I've just clicked on. Yeah. So I've just clicked on that. So I don't see one. So that's something you need to get from IT. So we'll say.
Me and IT, best mates.
Well, yeah, you're doing well then. I've no idea what this NC1V thing is, but
no, right.
But it's all we need to know is, has it got A3 as a page size for this purpose? So yes, it has. So I want to say that on print, I want to see it at its full size, and I want to see the pagination on screen. I'm not going to click on print. It's not going to come out the printer. I'm just going to click on OK. So you see that. So we need to reduce the horizontal size and the vertical size by a little bit. The vertical size is easy actually, because it's going to apply to all three cells. So I'm going to pick, and you can only do it by picking these teeth up around the edge of the diagram. And I'm not going to be exact, because it doesn't matter. We're going to scale it to a single page, as long as it's roughly the right size. So So the complication here is why I wanted to do this so you could see it. Is we've got three cells. We've got this one that is 13 miles long. We've got this one that is 4 miles long, and we've got this one that is 2 miles long. So we want to keep, when we look at it, we want the relative length to be exactly the same. So I can change the size of the cell, and what that's doing is it's squeezing the number of yards into that section. So if I look here, it still goes to Barking East, but we've got 700. Is that 795? I can't quite read it.
Yeah.
So it's got 795 yards per centimetre. So if we go to the next cell along and say, well, if I also make that 795 yards per centimetre, I'm surprised it jumped up.
It was lower than 795, that's why.
Because we've got to make them all the same value. So we haven't done enough. So we've got to say at this one, again, we've got to physically reduce the size of it. So now it's 902.
If you see where Gospel Oak starts, you can move that left more.
Okay, because Gospel Oak starts at 1 mile 330. Okay, so again, exactly. We could do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter particularly. We can select the track here and say that it starts at 1 mile 330 yards. So we can adjust it after the piece. But the more important part for our horizontal scaling is that we've got 1 mile. I'll probably just say 1 mile actually, because you want to see a little bit of the station, don't you? Really, you know. So So the physical size of this is now 835 yards. If I make each one of these 835 yards, we'll keep, and there's no easier way to do it than what I'm doing now. There's no automatic.
Okay.
There's no automatic way of doing it.
Okay.
So we're getting closer. We need to do a little bit more. So I need to sort of take this one down a little bit more. And then after we've done this, we need to go back and look at the maps, to make sure they're still legible. So now I'm at, what's that, 895?
Yeah. That's in that one. 835.
895, yeah?
835.
Yeah, I want to change this one from 835 to 895. So you see it gets smaller. And I want to change this one the same, so that so 1 mile is the same number of centimeters in either any of these things. So it looks like a unitary diagram. So so that still wasn't good enough. Nine.
952.
Okay, let's say 950 yards there. 950 yards there. And 950 yards there. And that's good enough, because we've got a little bit sticking out, but when you actually print it, we're going to print it to 1 page. So it will just scale it very slightly, but it's in the right ballpark. And what we've got to be careful.
Change the printer to the top one.
The print full color, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll print it as well.
Okay. Well, I'll say apply, which will apply those settings, and I'll also say print. So it's on it.
Right.
It's on its way to your printer. But there's one more thing we need to do, and that is we need to double check that the map and the station locations and the text is still reasonably legible, which it all is, apart from perhaps barking, isn't it? So I think
1 mile.
Say again. Oh, the word 1 mile. Yeah, and Gospel Oak. Yeah. So we need to probably start this at something smaller than a mile. So say 1,500 yards. I don't think we're going to bring that mile in. We'll have to live with that, I think. We can just sneak that one in. And I think on Woodgrange Park, I'm going to make that manual size, center it, and just then, so I've got enough room to bring barking fully into view. Yeah. So when you do change the scale, you do have to just go back and double check that that's not had a detrimental effect on the legibility of something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now that's correct, and that's the one that I would print finally, you know. So when you import the data into that, when you've got a spreadsheet, you are going to need to have a reference to whether it's in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 using this value. Yeah. Good. I'm going to stop the recording then, because otherwise it'll get